What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Aaron Knoll, and welcome back to another edition of the Movie Battleground. And this one is certainly an interesting matchup. We are in currently the heat of the tournament. We are in the quarterfinals. We still have, if my math is correct, two quarterfinals matches left to air. But Movie Battleground, especially if you're a competitor, you understand that it's a bit of a, especially if you put prep time into it, it's a bit of a high intensity thing. It does take up a bit of time. And so I feel like it's punishing by way of rewarding for competitors who do well and advance in the tournament to then have to turn around and immediately play another match. That does seem like a form of punishment, especially depending on who you ask. So we're going to begin tonight, starting tonight, interspersing other matchups in. And what that does is it gives competitors who unfortunately bowed out of the tournament early on either side of the bracket opportunities to get back into the game and start building a record so that once we're at the point where the tournament's totally over and everything is just based on your sole record, these guys get a bit of a head start of getting their way up the ladder. And we do have two of those guys tonight in the form of Jacob West taking on Jake Riese. Both of these gentlemen are competitors who did show some chops in their first couple of matches. Jacob, obviously, as we said, a two-time champ in other debate leagues, but his new Battleground record has not started quite the way that I think he would have wanted it to, despite two very solid performances, including one overtime performance. Jake, on the other hand, had the unlucky chance of being matched up against the honorary champ of Battleground, Joe Fairley, in his first match, and as Joe has proven over his last few matches, he has not lost a step at all. So that went the way you expected. But Jake did show great improvement from match one to match two. So I'm curious to see how he comes into this match against another tough competitor in Jacob West. And can he kind of take him on and move into the win? It is exciting to be back. It's exciting to get some guys back in that I haven't seen in a bit in the ring. So let's go ahead and do it. Introducing first, entering with a record of 0 wins, 2 defeats. He is the man who likes to identify himself as a potato. He is Jake Tato Riese. Jake, how's it going,
Hey,
sir?
what's going on, everybody? Thank you for having me. I am a potato. Um, Gosh, man, I did kind of improve between match one and match two,
You
and
did?
um, yeah, I did do that, and we'll go with that because this one might get a little rough ski.
Okay, I like the confidence. My question to you is simply this is a bit of some fun behind the scenes here. Jake did not request any kind of opponent, unlike some people who like to kind of ask if they can get a certain opponent when they step into the ring next time. No, Jake wanted to be the first person to play outside of the tournament. And I said, I hadn't built the schedule yet, so why not? I'll let him do it. Are you regretting that decision, sir?
Oh no, I just got a little clerked. I wasn't even supposed to be at work today, and then people kept not showing up, so I left work 3 hours later. So I missed my last little chunk of prep time, but we'll see how that works out for me. I think I have three okay questions.
Hey, there we go. That's confidence, baby. I'm going to go ahead and send you to the back as I introduce your opponent. He is the 38th favorite dad of the fan leagues. He is your papa. He is Papa Jacob West, entering with 0-2. Jacob, sir, as I said, you are, I would argue, over your true performances, a better debater than the record stands, arguably in terms of what you've previously won in other debate circles, are one of the best competitors to be stuck in this position statistically. How are you feeling coming into this?
Aaron, I used to be somebody. Champion in Sports Brawl and Game Zone. Always did good in Battleground. Heck, I took Joe to the speed round. Almost beat him in a match before he was the champion.
For those of you who are new,
But
the speed round is the blind round now.
whatever. And
Just giving them an idea.
I take on Jordan, I lose. I take on Noah, the only person who's been knocked out twice, and I can't get 2 points on him. I feel like I'm the Mark Riley of this league. Started out great, former champion, and then just for whatever reason can't not doing what you used to. So
Um,
I can make the Tato joke of boil and mash them, stick them in a stew, or you come out of the ground, I piss on the ground, or something stupid like that. But who cares? I have little Motorola Android dude cheering my shoulder, cheering kind of by my shoulder. I'm glad you believe in me. That's fine.
All right, well, this is getting sad. Before we need a fucking antidepressant to pick us up from this, I'm going to go ahead and bring the party back in here. Jake, get the drinks pouring for Papa, too. And while you guys take care of that, I'm going to go ahead and get into the rules of Movie Battleground. Movie Battleground is a best of 5 rounds. It is the first of 3 points to win. Each round of debate is worth 1 point. 3 points in a row will result in a knockout victory, which is not something either of these guys have tasted on either end yet, so that's a positive there. A tie after 4 rounds will activate the 5th round, which is the blind round. Jacob, you do have a little bit of experience there. Jake, you quite haven't gotten there yet, but if we do have to go there tonight, I'll explain that one more in depth. In terms of how our first 4 debates work, each round has a set structure. The questions were given to the competitors ahead of time. They have had as much time as they used in the intermediary to prep for this match. As Jake said, he was able to get at least 3 questions prepped. So, things happen. It happens the way it does. Here's how it's going to work. First, there will be a 60-second opening argument where you can kind of just put your idea out there. Then you'll get 2 minutes alone to expand on it and build on your argument. Then there will be a 4-minute open debate. This will be where you guys kind of trade blows back and forth, get in as many positive points as possible, followed by a 1-minute closing to wrap up and surmise your argument. Following that, I do have 3 judges in the background in the form of Will Cohen, Chris Diaz, and John Mayer. It's his first time here. He will correct me when he comes on screen because I feel like I said that wrong. But these guys will come on screen and they will give their reasoning as to who they think won and who gets the point. With all of that said, gentlemen, do you have any questions for me, or are we ready to go?
Clarification, John's last name is Marr.
Marr, thank you. Okay. It was in my head, do I pronounce the H or not? I went with it, and clearly I was wrong. So thank you for that. All right, guys, are we ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, since this is such a fucking happy affair thus far, it figures that we're starting off with such a positive question. Ethan Hawke is an actor who we are all very fond of. He's an actor who, if you are fond of him, you will see him on the small big screen in the upcoming Marvel series Moon Knight. But we decided to talk about stuff that's probably not as good from his career. The question is, what is the worst film starring or featuring Ethan Hawke? That's just me covering my ass saying he has to be in the film, however much he's in it. That's up to, I guess, the director. But with that said, guys, we are going to go ahead and go into it. So tonight, Papa, you are the favorite based on previous results. What that means is you've gone to the blind round. Jake hasn't, so that gives you an advantage. You chose to go first on questions 1 and 3. So with that said, Papa, your timer, as I bring it up, will start when you begin speaking.
All right, let's go. Aaron, you just said I was the favorite. I was the favorite last 3 matches. Did not work in my favor, so we'll see how it goes today. Worst film featuring Ethan Hawke. Let me paint you a picture. We're going to talk about vampires. Vampires facing extinction because the human race is facing extinction. Now, just from that sentence alone, I think this would be an awesome movie. Battle scenes, vampires fighting vampires. No, what we get is a boring drama about a hematologist. That's right, a vampire who is a blood doctor. That is his actual profession in the movie. Looking for a substitute to blood, which he does for 5 minutes. Then he's looking for a cure. And then I don't know what happens after that because it's so confusing. I'm talking about 2009's Daybreakers, starring Ethan Hawke. This movie is garbage, and unfortunately I have to talk about it more. But I get a little break, so that's good.
You do get a break. You get about a minute plus whatever my bantering is. Tato, you're up next. Time starts when you begin speaking. And you are a silent tater.
Alrighty, folks, again. All right, carrying on. I went with a movie called Getaway, and holy shit, that describes exactly what I wanted to do while watching the movie. I would rather watch the music video for Taylor Swift's song Getaway Car for an hour and a half than watch this fucking pile of shit again. Selena Gomez, horrible. I'll say she well earned her Raspberry nomination at the 2014 Golden Raspberry Awards. Ethan Hawke's doing a shitty Liam Neeson impersonation. This movie is just like the worst version of one of those Taken ripoff movies. Shit, I lost my notes. Oh yeah. It's just bad. It's a terrible version of a kidnapping, heist, red herring shit movie, and I don't even know how to describe it. Time.
All right, that'll be the countdown. We're going to go ahead and go into the 2-minute expansion, and we have something new that we're going to try here. I have graphics, so gentlemen, don't be shocked if something pops up on the screen. I just want to give the people at home a visual aid to remember what these films are in case you don't offhand. Papa, you have 2 minutes on the dot.
Sweet. If you throw me off, I'm suing. That being said, haha, guys. Jake made the oldest joke in the book by saying the movie's name is Getaway, but that's what I want to do when I'm watching the movie. Ha ha ha, guys, I'm funny. Well, anyways, going back to Daybreakers, because apparently I have to talk about my movie in this 2 minutes because I lost a point against Noah during this. What in the world, guys? I can do whatever I want with my 2 minutes. Yeah, Ethan Hawke plays a hematologist because, of course, you're gonna have a vampire as a blood doctor. William Dafoe plays a guy named Elvis, who is a former vampire who gets in a car wreck, gets thrown out of his car. Ooh, graphics. Gets thrown out of his car. You see him like on fire. He lands in water, and immediately he is a human being. He's not a vampire anymore. It's amazing. Sam Neill is the bad guy. He's forgettable in this movie. He goes from the very stereotypical Ethan, his name's not Ethan, but Ethan Hawke's character, I'm your friend, I'm here for you, and then goes to some other hematologist, because apparently there's multiple hematologists in this movie. Ethan Hawke's character doesn't want to be a vampire. He's a bad guy. Yeah, Sam Neill's horrible in this movie. Claudia Carvin, who I don't know who that is, except she plays a girl named Audrey, who's a human who's supposed to be a love interest, who gets kidnapped 3 times, including shot with a tranquilizer, which she's pretty forgettable in this movie too. The graphics in this movie suck. It literally opens up with this vampire girl walking out in the sun, combusting into flames, and it looks like a steaming pile of shit. And it's a little girl who looks like a turd. They do that one effect 5 times, and it looks worse every single time, including the William Dafoe where he gets thrown out of his car. He is like this sideways. I'm flying out of my car. It breaks its own rules because the good guys use crossbows
And
that
time.
vampires. I'll finish that later.
All right. Tato, over to you, 2 minutes.
Let's see. So of course there is multiple hematologists in an apocalyptic vampire world. Blood's kind of an important thing. That totally makes sense. Speaking of Willem Dafoe, totally epic. And I also found the twist of how vampires are cured by just the right amount of sunlight interesting. Like, I haven't seen that in any other vampire lore. Like I said, Getaway is so much shittier than any other kidnapping heist type movie. But Daybreakers is a solid 2010s movie, 2010s vampire movie. There's way worse makeup. There's way worse other just vampire movies in that era. Blood Rain and its shitty sequels, Cirque du Freak, Underworld Awakening was around that time, and that's just a piss poor entry in the Underworld franchise. Willem Dafoe's really good in this movie, and the ending kills are totally fucking badass in this one. It just, like, yes, the makeup isn't fantastic, but it's better than a lot of the things of its time, and it's a good movie. overwhelmingly. It's a fun adventure that you can enjoy. Daybreakers is. Getaway is just an absolute pile. As I mentioned, the movie sucks so hard that the characters don't even get names. It's the kid. It's the voice. Like, they didn't even bother to write shit on it. Like I said, Ethan Hawke is just terrible here. And he's at least a sexy vampire in Daybreakers. But yeah, I just think that Daybreakers is good, or at least solid, whereas Getaway is just terrible. There's nothing about Getaway that's fun. I can't think of a redeeming quality.
All right, and that will be time on it. We're going to go into the 4-minute open debate. Gentlemen, time starts when you begin speaking.
Jake, I want to finish this point really quickly. So they use crossbows. When you get shot with a crossbow as a vampire, you blow up. Except for one guy, his name's Chris. He's the other hematologist. No, he lights himself on fire after getting shot because apparently he's special. But Jake, I do need to seriously ask you a question. What ending kills in Daybreakers are badass?
Okay, so the second one with the fucking shitty soldier kid wasn't as fun, but when the shitty dad human gets killed by the fucking...
What shitty dad human?
The
There is
guy
no dad human.
No, there's the guy in the suit.
Are you talking about Sam Neill's character?
Fucking, is Sam Neill the young army kid?
No, Sam Neill is not the young army kid. That would be Michael Dorman, who plays Frankie, who is Ethan Hawke's character's brother.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so you mean to tell me a guy who is an asshole in the entire movie, and that actually is both Sam Neill and Michael Dorman.
Yeah, no, I meant the Sam Neill one where, well, they
Sam
both
Neill.
they both have the same fucking kill.
They
is
have
the
the
point.
same death. They
Yes.
have the same death,
and it's better.
Neither
It
of
is
which-
done better the first time.
Because okay, if you say so. He's tied to a chair and gets thrown into a horde of zombies where you don't even see anything happen.
Yeah,
You just see the
fucking
horde
badass.
chase him.
Dude,
No,
we see him get his head ripped off.
No, you don't. You hear him scream because he's
head
gagged.
upside down, ripped off.
No, okay. You're watching like the extended edition. You said Daybreakers was a good 2010s vampire movie. Came out in 2009, so it's not a 2010s film. So that argument is invalid. One cool thing about Getaway, you say none of the characters are named. They do the exact same thing in the Polar Express. It's kind of nice having these action heroes that we don't get a name for. But one nice thing about Getaway, I can turn my mind off and watch it, and there are really cool scenes in that GT Cobra. There are really cool stunts done in that car, which is pretty much the entire movie. I can sit down. I did it last night. I sat down. I was playing video games, had this movie on in the background, actually was kind of enjoying it because the score is actually pretty decent too. It makes you feel like you are in a car chase. Guess what? I have a score also. It is very depressing in times where it shouldn't be depressing when Ethan Hawke is trying to get the cure. They open up a door, sunlight hits him, he lights on fire, they close it. There's really depressing music, and he's conquering his one goal. And it's depressing music. That makes no sense.
I disagree. I thought the score in that scene totally made sense and shit. It's like he's having to struggle. We get struggle music with that. He's constantly...
If he was struggling multiple times and nothing was working, that would make sense. The second time they open up the door, he gets a heartbeat. That means his plan is working, and it's still a sad score. I don't understand why it's a sad score. If it was like his first plan and it didn't work, I get that. If it's his second plan and it's like 3 steps not working, then the fourth one kind of starts working, the first 3, I'm perfectly fine with that sad score.
I do believe that it's I think it's the third heartbeat that gets. I think it's the third time he gets lit up that the heartbeat shows up, and there's also the tension in the score There's
You
a
hear
tension
2
in the
heartbeats,
score of
and
the
then it
army coming in to fuck them up.
And you know what? I get awesome action score with Getaway the entire time. So nameless characters, I don't care. I have fun watching them. And hey, he's trying to save his wife. He's doing everything he's being told to by the bad guy. It's exactly what I would do. It makes sense.
And
It's
time.
just bad taken.
All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and move on to the final closing. Papa, you got 1 minute on the clock. Time starts when you speak.
It's nothing like Taken. Taken, he is going to a random country, searching for his daughter and killing people. In Getaway, he has no idea what's going on. All he knows is there's a guy talking to him who occasionally gets his wife on the phone. So he knows in order to save her, he has to do everything she says. Nothing like Taken. 2 very different movies. I actually really like Ethan Hawke and Selena Gomez's back and forth, whatever that's called, chemistry. I think it's really funny how whenever she first hops on, the guy's like, don't kill her, whatever, talk to her, whatever, and then he's like, kill her, and he's pointing the gun and he can't do it. And just their first interactions, I really enjoyed that part, which built to later on in the movie. I just really like the 2 of them together. Guess what? I don't like Ethan Hawke and Claudia Carvin together. It's supposed to be a love interest, and they never once show any interest to each other. And William Dafoe has a horrible Southern accent.
And time. All right, Tato, back to you for the final minute of the round.
I disagree. I thought the Selena Gomez, Ethan Hawke banter was terrible. Fun fact, Getaway, 3% on the tomato meter, 35% audience rating. Budget, 18 million. Box office, 11.8 million. Daybreakers, 69% on the tomato meter. Not even rotten, let alone bad. 49% audience rating. Budget, 20 million. Box office, 51.4 million. Film critics, Ebert and Roper reviewed Daybreakers favorably. Rolling Stone with a favorable review. Couldn't find reviews from Ebert and Roper, but a 0-star review of Getaway for Rolling Stone. So made money, did not lose money, isn't reviewed negatively. Daybreakers is reviewed positively. Getaway is 3%. Everyone agrees that Getaway is a terrible movie. Most people think Daybreakers is okay, at least.
And time. All right, guys, a very solid back and forth for that first round. I'm going to go ahead and drop both of you in the back, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in our judges. As you guys take a second to come to your final decision, I do have a couple of fun fact checks here. So in Daybreakers, Ethan Hawke's character's name is Edward Dalton. In Getaway, 2 characters have names. Ethan Hawke is named Brent Magna. His wife is Leanne Magna. Other than that, they are the kid, the voice, the man, and distinguished man are the 4 other credits in the script. Daybreakers is technically a 2010 release. It debuted at TIFF in 2009. It did not receive a wide release until January 8th, 2010. The Polar Express, as referenced, has 3 characters, that were given names. I guess 4 technically. Billy, who is the lonely boy on the train. The train engineers are given the names Smokey and Steamer, and the main boy, who is called Hero Boy, his sister is Sarah. Those are the only 4 characters that get names. Taken takes place in Paris, France. And like Jake said, Getaway does have a 3% critic-like rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 35%. Daybreakers has a 69% critic-like rating, 49% for audiences. And you brought up the numbers too late for me to be bothered calculating if it actually did lose money or not. With that said, though, we're going to go ahead and round it out to our judges, because at the end of the day, it's the opinions that matter, not the facts. Will, I go to you first. Who gets your vote, and what was the main thing that sold you?
All right. So first, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Good. So I went Papa West on this one. As you know, as much as I actually like Daybreakers, the problem with the problem with Tato's argument is that he spent all of his time praising Daybreakers, but he did not give any details as to why Getaway is a bad movie. He just kept on saying it was a bad movie, and that doesn't work for me.
All right. John, I go next to you. First off, welcome to Movie Battleground. Second, I apologize for butchering your name. You're not the first, you won't be the last. And third, it's your vote. Who gets your point, and what was the thing that sold you?
Thank you for having me. It's okay you mispronounce my name. Everybody does it. Let's get on to the voting. I also voted for Papa West. Building on Will's point, I got to say, Papa West built a strong foundation in his first minute. He put out at least 3 or 4 different reasons in there. Tato only tossed out one reason, and the reason was that the movie sucked. And then Papa West kind of dominated the time after that. So I got to go with him. Tato dropping all the Rotten Tomatoes stuff in the end were good points, but I think they were too little too late.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much. With that, though, Jacob does get the first point on the votes. So I'm going to go ahead and send my judges backstage as I bring back in our competitors. And after a very good round 1, we're going to go ahead and get on to round number 2. Now, by the time this goes up, this reference will kind of be outdated. But earlier, very recently, we learned that the new Lord of the Rings series will be airing in September of this year, only on Amazon Prime. We also got the opening title sequence, which, if you haven't looked it up, go check it out. It looks cool. And then follow that up by watching the behind the scenes of how they made it, because it's actually a completely practical opening sequence, which is pretty damn cool to kind of see how they created it. But that gives us a good opportunity to talk about some Middle Earth, which is a thing I assume both of these guys like. They both play Geek Trivia. I assume they know maybe a little something about it. However, we're going to continue on the negative train. The question is, which Middle Earth entry is the most overrated? We have a franchise full of beloved films and Battle of the Five Armies. So which one is overrated of the bunch? And as I go ahead and bring back in the timer, Jake, you are up first on this one. It will start ticking when you begin speaking.
I wrote The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. And I will cede my time.
All right. Well, that was fucking quick. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on. Now I get to fiddle with this thing, which is a whole lot of fun. All right. There we go. Got that one close enough. Papa, when it turns over, you will have a second to collect your thoughts, and then time will start when you begin speaking.
What did I just witness? I don't know. The most overrated Middle Earth film. I don't know about you. I'm a big fan of Middle Earth. I enjoy all 6 of the films. But one gets too much praise. It's not as good as everybody thinks it is. Some say it's the best. You have your opinions. If you want to say it's the best, it's not. It's kind of mid-tier. I'm going to go with the third film in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Return of the King. And I'm going to blow some minds, especially if you watch my match versus Noah McCausland, where I took on someone who got knocked out, and then after he played me, got knocked out again. You'd think I'd be able to beat him, but no. I can't beat a guy who gets knocked out twice. Whatever. Interesting fun fact. Watch that match. There's a Middle Earth question. Your minds are being blown right now.
Yeah, that's time. What are you gonna keep dragging Noah through the mud for, man? That's not.
Hey, I didn't drag him through the mud as bad as you did, so.
Unfortunately, that's okay. All right, Noah, I'm gonna issue an official apology on behalf of Movie Battleground. If you're watching this, I'm so sorry. Jake, time starts when you begin speaking.
I will argue that the Lord of the Rings trilogy is perfectly rated in that everyone loves it because it's awesome. Whereas the Hobbit trilogy, people don't like as much for the most part. So nothing in Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King, they can't be overrated because they're awesome. and they are rated exactly just fine. So technically, anything that I would have picked as far as fucking Unexpected Journey, Desolation of Smaug, or Battle of Five Armies, I should be correct on. And spoiler alert, this is the question that I didn't get to prepare for, so deal with it. Cede my time.
I respect the honesty at least. All right. You're gonna, man, Jake, you bring rockers of rounds every time you play. Papa, you have 2 minutes when the clock turns, sir. If you do need me to pause it, I can.
No, you don't need to pause it. I don't like pausing. Jake, get ready to get bent over and spanked. Desolation of Smaug is the second worst movie in all of Middle Earth. You're saying it's overrated. Okay, what is it? Why is it overrated? Nope.
Wait, I wrote something down for this.
Hey, this is my 2 minutes. If you don't get to talk in my 2 minutes, shut up and take your ass whooping like a man.
I paused the clock for that.
Okay. Thank you so much for pausing the clock. I need to take 5 seconds to regroup now. Okay, start the clock back up. Jake, take your ass whooping like a man, because it's going to happen. Desolation of Smaug and Battle of the Five Armies are easily the 2 worst Middle-earth films. I don't understand why you think they are overrated. Now, I can see everybody in the back right now. I saw a couple people lose their minds when I said Return of the King is overrated. I'm going to break it down for you. This movie won 11 Oscars. It shouldn't have won that many. Best Picture, maybe. I'll give it to you. I don't know what all came out that year. Best Original Song, maybe. I'll give it to you. Into the West is a beautiful song. Although it should be called Into the Horizon. Different story for a different day. Best Director, Peter Jackson. Whatever. I'll give it to you. Best Original Score. This isn't an original score. This score is used throughout all 3 films. It is an original score in the first film. After number 2, it's not an original score anymore. Best visual effects, production design, sound mixing, costume design, makeup and hairstyling. The movies look the same in all 3. Plus, we take one of the best villains, Saruman, and we cut him out of number 3 completely. And you're going to say, well, in the extended edition, you see him die. We're not talking about extended edition. We're talking about theatrical edition. When I was a child watching this movie in the theaters, I didn't get to watch Saruman die, and it harmed me. I needed to watch that scene. Plus, this movie doesn't know when to end, and it hurts it. I'm not done with my time yet, Aaron. You cannot stop the time. Now I'm done.
Okay, appreciate it, Jacob. All right, this round's getting fucking weird. Let's not delay it. 4 minutes, guys. Jake, say as much as you like. Jacob, I don't know, keep spanking him or whatever the hell you're doing.
I wrote down the Rotten Tomatoes scores for all 6 movies. So.
Oh, good for you with Rotten Tomatoes. Go ahead and say the Rotten Tomatoes score. I don't care.
I think we can just carry on.
Rotten Tomatoes are apparently the end-all be-all. I just need to say I'm a defender of Return of the King with the endings. But I understand. Hey, Frodo destroys the ring. Okay, you need to keep going to figure out what happens at the end. Sweet. Aragorn becomes king. Sweet. Perfect place to end it. But no, we have to say what happens to the hobbits. What happens when they get back to the Shire? Okay, sweet. We can end it there. No. Now we need to figure out that Frodo and Bilbo and Gandalf go to the Undying Lands, which is like a 20-minute scene that drags. Okay, whatever. I'll give it to you. Let's end it. No! Now we need to find out that Sam gets married and has 4 children.
Hey, screw you. That's important for Rudy.
That is not important for Rudy.
Rudy.
And Sean Astin has a much better victory whenever he gets that last play sack against the Georgia Tech quarterback in Rudy. He also has a bigger victory whenever he defeats the Scantinellis, I believe, in the Goonies. I mean, really, if you want to if you want me to tell you every time
Yeah,
Sean Astin
so
has
you
a better
admit that
victory than
Return of the
getting married.
King's not overrated.
I am 100% saying it's overrated because the moments in Rudy and in the Goonies
Yeah,
are
that
better
does work that way.
victories
My bad.
for Sean Astin than they are in Lord of the Rings because he got married. Guess what? I got married. Who cares? Well, I care. I actually kind of liked her, but it's not always what it's cracked up to be.
God damn you, Papa! You lovable son of a bitch.
No, that's actually one thing. I think the extended editions hurt the theatrical version because they take out like an hour and a half of the theatrical version, and these are amazing scenes that need to be watched. I just said the Death of Saruman. You watch as Grima Wormtongue actually turns on him and stabs him in the back, and then he falls to his death. In an amazing scene, he falls on one of those little spiky wheels, and the spiky wheel turns and pretty much drowns him. Amazing scene, but you don't get to watch it because it wasn't in the theatrical scene. The mouth of Sauron, one of the creepiest creatures ever, you don't get to see because he's not in the theatrical version. Also, the editing is weird because there are amazing action set pieces in the Battle of Pelennor Fields. And guess what? Right before it gets good, we're going to cut to watch Frodo walk upstairs. Exciting for 20 minutes. Now we're going to go back to the fighting. And it makes no sense. As far as the Desolation of Smaug, what's over? I mean, everyone hates the weird love triangle between Legolas, Tariel, and Keely. Is it Keely or Philly? Those two are very unforgettable characters. No one can remember which one's which. People hated that, which is why it's rated as one of the worst films. And I don't know why it's overrated. Jake, please say something in the last 30 seconds.
It's not my name.
Whatever you want to use. Yeah, I realize Return of the King, most people say it is the best film in the Lord of the Rings franchise. It has a lot of flaws. I believe it is a great film, but it has a lot of flaws. It should not be held as a perfect film. Like Jake said, the Lord of the Rings is a perfect trilogy. It should not be held that high. Good, yes. Perfect,
And
no.
time. How on earth did that go for 4 minutes? Jake, you have a minute. You can use as much as you'd like of it. It starts when you speak.
No, I am really sorry for this one. I just ended up working a couple days. I wasn't supposed to work yesterday. I wasn't supposed to work today, and I got kind of screwed on time. So I'm sorry about that. I should have had it prepped sooner. But yeah, go ahead and give Papa the point, and we will carry on.
All right, Jacob, since I'm going with formalities, you do have a minute if you feel like you need it.
Sweet. I will take my minute because the exact reason why that thing lasted the full 4 minutes. Papa uses his time. Ladies and gentlemen watching this who are thinking to themselves, I want to be a competitor. Here is some advice from Papa West, 2-time champion in these leagues, who apparently sucks now. Use your time. Do not give up. You might be fighting a losing battle. Guess what? When you say stuff, people use it in your favor. I'd be remiss to say what I think should be the best Lord of the Rings film, since I see Return of the King such a overrated film, and I'd have to go with The Two Towers. Aragorn, better performance, not as much plot armor, ton of plot armor in Return of the King, and the Battle of Helm's Deep, maybe a better fight scene than Pelennor Fields, because we don't have stupid cuts to watch Frodo climb stairs. And I won't use my last 9 seconds, Arn. You're welcome.
Okay. All right, well, that was mostly painless, boys. We're going to go ahead and send both of you to the back, and we'll go ahead and bring in our judges. I do my job, so I do have some fact checks if anybody's curious. With that said, the Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King won Best Picture in 2004 for the year in film of 2003. It was up against Lost in Translation, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, Mystic River, and Seabiscuit. The family in the Goonies is the Fratelli family. The Hobbit in The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug that wants to bang Tariel is Keely. And on Rotten Tomatoes, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug is actually the highest rated of the three Hobbit films at a 74% critic rating and an 85% audience rating. It is, however, lower than all three of the Lord of the Rings films. With that said, we are going to go to our judges. If this is cut and dry for you, you don't have to mince words and say anything more. John, I go to you. Who gets your vote?
Despite not knowing the Fratellis, I have to go with Papa West on that one. You can't really cede all of your time and win a match. Sorry.
I think he understands. His feelings aren't hurt. Chris, I go to you. Who gets your vote?
I just felt like the way to debate to judge, but yeah, Papa West, despite I strongly disagree with him. He's on the point. Let's move on.
All right, boys. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and send you to the back as I go ahead and bring in my competitors. And I'll go ahead and vamp for an extra second just to let you guys get your heads back in the game. And don't let it take you too hard, man. You're not the first competitor to have a difficult round. You're actually not the first competitor to have a difficult round too. Just keep your head in the game and you will be fine. And speaking of head in the game, we're not talking about High School Musical next. We're actually talking about Spider-Man, who is absolutely the talk of the town. He was supposed to have a movie come out this week. It's called Morbius. It got delayed, but this match got written before it got delayed. Thanks, Sony. We have a Spider-Man question. That is, what Spider-Man film is currently the most underrated? We're going to be going positive on this one, baby. We have a lot of Spider-Man films. Some of them are beloved. Some of them are liked. Some of them are not liked. But which one is underrated? Which one should be shown the love it deserves that it is not receiving? And I have a feeling you guys are going to find this round very spectacular. Or wait, maybe another descriptive word is better. I don't know. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the timer. Papa, the time starts with you, good sir, when you begin speaking.
The most underrated movie in all of these Spider-Man movies is The Amazing Spider-Man. This has Andrew Garfield playing Peter Parker. This has Emma Stone playing Gwen Stacy, and Riz Ifans playing Dr. Curtis Connors. I have no idea if I pronounced his name correctly. I've legitimately read his name 20 times like in the last 2 months because I just watched The Kingsman, which he plays Rasputin. And I'm like, I need to know this guy's name, how to properly pronounce it. But Dr. Curtis Connors, it's the second villain that we see where we actually feel for him and want him to succeed. The first being Dr. Octopus. And then also Dennis Leary as Gwen Stacy's father gives a great performance throughout the film as a father and also someone hunting Spider-Man.
And time. And I'm going to go ahead and do the fact check now, just so you guys don't have to keep figuring out how to pronounce it throughout the match. It is Reese Evans is how it's said.
I'm going to mispronounce it 5 more times this match, but thank you for pronouncing it correctly.
Well, I did my best. Tato, we go down to you for your round. 1 minute starts when you begin speaking.
Alrighty, so gosh, I didn't think to ask, but hopefully No Way Home spoilers are allowed in this situation. But anyway, without saying any spoilers for it,
hold on. Just because we're recording this ahead of time, I have paused the clock. If any judge has not seen it, give me a shake of the head.
What about Competitor?
Have you not seen it?
No, I've seen it. I'm just asking for Jake.
Okay. John, can you give me that again? Have you seen it or not? I'll just bring it in. Fuck it. We'll edit it. Was it?
I haven't seen it, but I don't care. Go ahead.
Okay.
I don't have too much anyway, so it should be fine. Anyway,
go ahead.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, so with the recent release of No Way Home, we have gotten to see a bunch of people's rankings for the Spider-Man movies. And for what I noticed is that The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the movie that I went with, is in the bottom 2 of most lists, but it also frequently breaches the top half. And then I also noticed that there are many people, and like this includes my precious Rotten Tomato meter as well. They have Spider-Man 3 ranked over the Amazing Spider-Man 2. And that's absurd. That's criminal. There's no way that Spider-Man 3 should be ranked over the Amazing Spider-Man 2. So it's underrated.
And time. All right, we're going to go ahead and go back to Papa. Time starts when you begin speaking.
So I will just call him Reese throughout the match because I already forgot how Aaron correctly pronounced his last name, but that does not matter. As far as rankings go, yes, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is normally on the bottom. I generally see Spider-Man 3 below it, but I mean, you can fight, have them back and forth, whatever. The movie sucks. Andrew Garfield is the same performance in both films. Gwen Stacy dies, which is the stupidest death scene. I get it happens in a comic book. They try to play it off in the comic book by doing exactly what happens in the comic book. I guess that is fun. But Jamie Foxx as a nerd does not work at all, which is why his character does not work in the movie. Him as a weird blue creature singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider does not work, which is why in No Way Home, the first thing they do when he's blue is pretty much destroy him as blue, and now he looks like a human being. He has the cool yellow armor, the weird star face. Cool. He's not a nerd in No Way Home because Jamie Foxx does not play a nerd. You have Dane DeHaan, who is playing weird Green Goblin. Weird the entire movie. And then you have Paul Giamatti, who's literally thrown in to two scenes because they're trying to get the Sinister Six in here. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 sucks. The Amazing Spider-Man, however, I think is the third best Spider-Man film. Hey, look, it's a picture. I'm pointing the wrong way. Andrew Garfield gives the second best performance. Tom Holland is amazing, but he is a much better Spider-Man, much better Peter Parker than Tobey Maguire is. He is believable as a high school student. He's believable as an outcast. And I actually really like his Spider-Man too. He's funny, yet still badass, which you don't see with Tobey Maguire.
And
you
time.
kind of see, but not really, with Tom Holland.
All right, Tato, back to you. 2 minutes on the clock, sir. And unmute.
Thank you. The Amazing Spider-Man being the third best Spider-Man movie is ridiculous. I mean, between we're talking about No Way Home counting. Okay, so we got No Way Home and Spider-Verse, which are the two best, and then Spider-Man 2, the Raimi. It's right in the middle is the point that I'm trying to make, and almost everybody has it ranked right in the middle. A couple people disagree with me by 1 or 2 spots on Spider-Man, on the Amazing Spider-Man 1. But pretty much everyone has the Amazing Spider-Man 1 ranked in the middle. You have it pretty high. I haven't seen many people have it as high as you do. Most people have it with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. It shows up in the bottom a lot, but it also shows up in the upper half of a lot of people's reviews too. So it kind of fluctuates a lot. So I kind of think it is underrated by a lot of people, whereas I think the Amazing Spider-Man 1 is correctly rated by most people. Where am I at on time?
About 45 seconds.
Okay, so since it came too little too late last time, I will state that The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and again, I will go to my tomato meter, 72, The Amazing Spider-Man, 72 meters, 77 audience. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, 51 meters, 64 audience. And I think the disparity in the Amazing Spider-Man 2's rankings on that scale show that it is more underrated than the Amazing Spider-Man since it has closer parity. Now we'll see time.
All right, as the timer goes ahead and counts down, we will go ahead and head into the open debate round. The timer will continue ticking when the first person speaks.
So Jake, you think I'm outrageous for saying The Amazing Spider-Man should be the third best film? That's because I think it's an underrated movie. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, again, is mostly in the bottom of people's list because it deserves to be in the bottom. Hey, look, there's your picture. Look at that weird blue guy. That's Jamie Foxx. They almost killed Electro in one movie. Thankfully, the MCU was able to save it. I want to bring this up real quick. The reason The Amazing Spider-Man is a much better movie than people say. I already talked about the Andrew Garfield performance. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone's chemistry is amazing. Reese Ifan, thank you, Will, for putting that pronunciation in the chat. You see him delve into madness. He is a doctor who lost a limb. I don't know how long ago. He's trying to get his limb back, and he finally does, and it drives him insane. Trying to figure out how to do it, and then you see when he realizes that becoming a lizard is the only way to do it because reptiles are the better species, and wants that for everybody. It's one of the best villain performances outside of Dr. Octopus. And then Dennis Leary, seeing him as the captain of the police, as a firm believer that vigilantism is not good, say fighting crime for the police officers. You see him have that mentality throughout the entire film. And then when he realizes he takes Spider-Man's mask off, he sees the kid, because he's a kid. It's a child doing this, but not only that, it's someone he knows, it's someone his daughter loves. And you see that hit him. Another great performance that this movie does not get talked about like it should.
All right.
I'm letting you say stuff now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just think that the movie is I don't disagree with any of the points you made, but I don't think that fully expressed how it's underrated because people have it rated. So let's look at Spider-Verse and No Way Home. The emotional beats in both of those movies hit way harder than in The Amazing Spider-Man. And
What emotional beats hit harder?
When Miles fucking finally zaps out of the webs. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Spider-Verse, he realizes what he has to do and it's a leap of faith and all that and what's up danger and
that's not emotional. That's just a character arc of a kid.
That's not emotional to you?
That's not emotional. That's just the click of a light bulb. Hey, I realize with great power comes great responsibility, without actually saying with great power comes great responsibility, which that line right there drives more emotion than anything into the Spider-Verse, which unfortunately isn't in my movie, which would probably make my movie the best Spider-Man movie.
All right, so we'll pass on talking about movies that don't exist. The only real critique that I think people have on The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is that the villains aren't super awesome. But I don't think pre-Goblin Dane DeHaan is fine. He's not good, but he's passable for sure. He's not the worst thing we've ever seen. And I'm not even mad at Jamie Foxx. He's fine. And obviously he got redemption and shit. And again, you mentioned it. The death of Gwen Stacy is the best scene in both of these movies. By a long shot. There's not a better scene in yours. I think it's the best in the Raimi trilogy and in the Amazing Spider-Man series. I think it's the best scene in all 5 of those movies.
It is slow-mo for absolutely no reason. And then he catches her and she dies.
All right, so we're going to go on to the 1 minute closings. You each have 1 minute to wrap this up. Papa, I go to you first. Time starts when you speak.
Okay, sweet. So I've given everyone reasons why The Amazing Spider-Man is a good film. I've given specific scenes. I've given performances. And again, I'm going to give it again. These are great performances. There are great scenes. Just the comedy of Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Like he spiderwebs that guy's hand to the handle, and it ends up being his car. That's hilarious. A bad guy has a knife. He's like, "Oh, a knife, my one weakness." That's hysterical. Andrew Garfield is one of the better Spider-Man that nobody gives him credit for, like he should. In The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I'll say he's in that movie. But you know what? He's really depressed about the movie for absolutely no reason. Emma Stone is kind of there to be there. Her death isn't that great of a scene. And it was done better when he actually caught Zendaya. Most of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was done better in No Way Home.
And time. All right, Jake, you have 1 final minute. Time starts when you begin speaking.
All right, you keep pointing out why The Amazing Spider-Man is a good film, but you're not talking about how it is generally rated by people. And I think it is generally rated as a good film, and it is a good film, and it's pretty much flat across the line. You have a higher opinion of it than most people I've seen. Ultimately, I believe that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is underrated due to the difference in opinion by the masses versus the critics versus people that are kind of in our inner circle. It is rated up and down, so I believe that generally it is underrated because Spider-Man is because The Amazing Spider-Man 1 is more consistently rated.
All right, and if that will be time. Once again, solid debate, gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and send both of you to the back. And I'm going to bring in my 3 judges. And while they are coming up with their final opinions, I do have a couple of small, quick fact checks. So when we do go to Rotten Tomatoes, it was referenced earlier about the scores. So on a critic's point, Spider-Man 3 is higher rated than The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 3 does have a 63% critic-like rating, which does mean it is rated fresh as anything 60 and above. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has a 51% like rating. However, on the inverse, Spider-Man 3 has a 51% audience rating, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has a 64%, meaning it's almost an identical flip in terms of what critics prefer versus what audiences prefer. When talking about the overall ranking of Spider-Man films, again, using the consensus of Rotten Tomatoes because it aggregates as many critic reviews as it can together, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is considered the best Spider-Man film with 97% of critics liking it. Spider-Man 2 and No Way Home come in at second with 93 each. Third, or technically fourth, I guess, would be Spider-Man Homecoming with 92%. Tied for fifth would be Spider-Man and Spider-Man Far From Home with a 90% like rating. And then coming in next in seventh would be The Amazing Spider-Man at a 72, followed by Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 at the aforementioned 63 and 52% for critics. Also, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the executives and their decisions behind the performances of Jamie Foxx is not what killed Electro. The film's script killed Electro in that he literally does die at the end of the film. He was never intended to come back for a sequel until Marvel said, yeah, we'll take that contract. But with that said, guys, we are going to go ahead and go into the judgments. Mr. Diaz, I head to you first, as concise as you can hit it for me. Who gets your vote and what sold you?
So this question, the argument had me going back and forth, but I think one person hit it based on the question alone. I think Jake supposedly was the only one to argue most underrated by bringing up everything that made Spider-Man 2. But lower rated, that not a lot of people consider highly. Take up to me to talk about how good a film is. He doesn't say why people might not like it, that he thinks it underrated. I just think Jake hit on it more.
All right. So the first vote does go to Jake Tato. Will, I go to you. Who gets your vote and what sold you?
Okay, so I believe that Papa did have the better argument because he actually discussed the film, whereas Tato just kept talking about people's reactions to the film without actually talking about what really made Amazing Spider-Man 2 underrated, other than just audience reactions. And you need to beef up your arguments if you're going to try and win a debate, unfortunately.
All right, we do have a 1-to-1 vote, which means I go to John. Sir, who gets your vote, and what was it that sold you?
I'm going to build on Will's point. I also voted for Papa West. Also, just a matter of just straight up debating strategy. Papa is just controlling the field. He is taking up all the time, and Tato was letting him pretty much every round. I got to say, if somebody's talking 80% of the time, I'm going to only be listening to them 80% of the time. So Papa just made more points, straight up.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and send you guys to the back because your winner by a knockout score of 3-0, it is Papa Jacob West coming in with the big victory. Well, Papa, you were certainly a father who was doubting yourself prior to coming into today's match, but you have followed up 2 good performances with a very good knockout victory, that 1-2 with 1 knockout. How are you feeling after that match?
Let's be honest, the most surprising thing of this entire match, the fact that this marker has been able to stay on my hat that entire third question and all the weird ranting that was going on in between third question and this amount of time. Am I surprised that I knocked out Jake Tato? No. Would I have been surprised if he knocked me out? No. Like, let's be honest, this doesn't mean Papa's back. Because you're going to put me up against some nobody who you're going to be like, Papa, you're going to knock this guy out too. And I'm going to get my hopes up, be like, I'm a great debater, I can do this, and then I'm going to lose. So what's the point, Aaron?
I mean, I can put you up against somebody tough and like beat you down if you want the inverse.
Or I can beat them. Who cares what happens?
I mean,
don't know what's going to happen.
Obviously, records pertain to what could happen, but do you have somebody you would like to play, or is it just whatever's thrown your way?
Whoever you give me, I'll take him on. And I will have Motorola Android guy right here. He's going to hold my marker from now on. No, he's not, because he doesn't have hands and can't hold things.
All right, Papa. Well, somebody's going to go get themselves a nighttime drink and cool off before bed. Have a great night, Jacob. Congratulations on the win, sir. I'm going to go ahead and send you to the back and bring in your opponent. And Tato, unfortunately, it doesn't go your way. You predicted not your strongest performance. I will be kind and say I think your prediction was nearly correct. How are you feeling, sir?
Pretty good. My fault again for not putting in the work. Just the way she goes. Like I said, sorry, because that should have been better. But hey, thanks for having me. I will be glad to come back if you'll have me again. And eventually I will become 1-19.
I will never stop anybody from playing Movie Battleground who still wants to play. Although if you do go 0-19, we may have to ask some questions. But because I feel like odds of reasoning would say you'd get a win before 16 more losses.
Yeah, that stands to reason.
So, but Jake, do you have anyone in mind that you would like to play should the records fall your way, or are you just whoever?
I shall again say the next 0-3 or 1-2 opponent.
All right, fair enough, sir. I'm going to go ahead and send you to the back. Thank you for being here, sir. Unfortunate that it did not go your way. Hopefully next time the fuckheads you work with show up to work so that you have time to prep.
Fair play.
All right. Well, guys, that is it. That is the first match in the books outside of the tournament going on the record. And Jacob, as you can see in his demeanor, he is clearly unhappy about how his reintroduction through the tournament went. Again, I do want to issue an official apology to Noah McCausland. You got dragged way more here than anyone should. But that is what it is. Papa, however, does put that rage into his performance and comes out with the knockout victory. And Jake, like always, just takes things in stride. You know, I like that ownership of, if this one's on me, sometimes it's just on you. And I like that he's willing to own up to that, because unfortunately that kind of seems to be the circumstance. You know, we had 2 good questions, and unfortunately the way that it fell, he had to concede on one of the ones that did come up. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I want to say a big thank you to our 3 judges, Will Cohen, Chris Diaz, and John Marr. Congratulations to our winner, Papa West. Thank you to Jake for playing. Thank you to all of you for watching. Please be sure to rate the video. Drop a comment. What are your thoughts? Does Papa have a chance against whoever he goes up with? I think I said that backwards, but either way, does he have a chance in his next match? Should he be as down on himself as he is now? Will Jake get that win before 19 losses? Let me know in the comments. Be on the lookout for some of the next upcoming matches, because on Saturday we are back to the tournament. We have another quarterfinal match, and that match is between Tyler Birch and Medee Raymond in the 1-0 bracket. Tyler, of course, was the player who got pardoned into the next round because unfortunate circumstances saw a competitor have to drop out, and we just ran out of time to find a replacement. So Tyler is the only 1-0 competitor to move into the second round of the tournament. Can he build on that one singular performance to take out a vet like Medee Raymond, or will Medee slide into the next round to take on Jeremy Adams? With that said, guys, my name is Aaron Knoll. On behalf of all the producers at Movie Battleground, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time on the Movie Battleground. Take care, everybody.